You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show, the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers today, I don't think. So let's just go ahead and get started with Mr. Jared, the Uber driver. Ready, set, and go.
Hey, this is Jared, the Uber driver from Texas. So yeah, that yet again, tough loss. I think they need to process what happened, just move forward to the next game. Next game proves a lot, and hey, yet again, I said earlier, still a game ahead of the Lions, who lost to the Vikings, so we'll take that. And then, no, I don't know, just if we win against the Eagles, then that built up some momentum moving forward, and you never know what happens. As far as I recall, the year we won the Super Bowl with Rodgers, we pulled it all together at the end of the season, and we're just the team that no one wanted to face in the playoffs.
Pretty much.
And I don't remember their exact record. I thought they were like 9-7 or 8-8, something like that. No one expected it, but they got there and they won. So who knows? Of course, I hate the fact that they brought up Jordan Love turned 27 today. I know if you don't believe in jinxes and whatever, but you can't help but feel like everything got jinxed today a little bit too, But I don't know, just chalk it up to any given Sunday. Panthers aren't as bad of a team as people think they are. Now they have a winning record. They were 4-4. They're 5-4 now. Look, they're trying to make their own push to the playoffs too. They have people who want to win too. I do find it interesting that I'm not saying you jinx anybody, but I remember distinctly you've never seen a pass rusher like Michael Parsons, and then I remember zero pressures in the third or fourth quarter. I was like, wow, man, dang. And yeah, I don't know if it was just the weather, or I'm not saying it's the weather because obviously it's a home game, but I don't know, they just stuck with the run game. We tried to pass a lot in gusty winds. I am a little disappointed that we didn't really get to ice the kicker at the end. We called a timeout well before they were going to kick, so I don't know, just weird stuff. Kind of wish it was kind of like the Cleveland game where we might have gotten the block instead and then returned it, or we go into overtime and then, I don't know, hopefully win that. Anyways, go Pack go. And everything's going to be okay, everybody. They're going to figure it out. Go Pack go.
Well, I thought you were going to talk about the fact that we did 2 big Tucker Kraft songs this week, and then Tucker Kraft tears his ACL, but you're right, there's also the slight issue of talking about saying I've never seen a guy like Micah Parsons, and then he just doesn't perform. So, I've talked about this before being a jinx, and this isn't the first time where it's felt like there's been a jinx. The issue is I can't really do anything about it because I have to do this thing with the podcast. So let's just hope it's a massive coincidence and we just, I guess, move on because, again, I can't do much about it unless this entire thing just becomes like a slapstick skit where I just goof around and talk about how much I hate the Packers and they're going to be terrible and the Eagles are so good, it's crazy, and just do a bunch of songs about maybe for one day, maybe today at the end of this we'll do a song about the Eagles are amazing, it's so crazy, hope nobody tears their ACL or anything. I'm just kidding. But I again, I get it. Nothing I can do about that. It just is what it is.
Hey, Ryan, Drew from Green Bay. We lost to the Panthers 16-13.
Yeah, I heard about that.
For me, it was like defensively, I don't think we played that badly, but I really think Carolina had a good game plan, and it was kind of a matchup issue where, I don't, we're a much better team, but the way they like to play, I think matches up well against the weaknesses of our defense, where I think our defensive tackles and, stopping the run inside the, on the inside is, like the A gaps is a big weakness of ours. And, that's what they did all game long. And, Rico Dowdle was destroying us. We couldn't stop him. And that shortened the game and forced the offense to be efficient, which they weren't. We missed the field goal again. I really didn't agree with going for it on 4th and 8. Like, I did agree with the other 4th down calls, and I do, like, I like to be slightly aggressive. I'm not like a crazy aggressive guy. But on 4th and 8, I think there were 11 minutes to go, kick the field goal, and then you depend on your defense, and then you're not playing for a tie anymore. You're playing for a win. Or you also give the other team, or our defense, a chance, make it a lot easier, because when you kick off to them, like, they're going to usually get the ball around, like, the 30-yard line, and they only need, 30 yards to get into field goal range? It's not that much anymore, so it's asking the defense a lot not to give up a field goal the rest of the game. And so just kick that field goal, and then get a stop, and then go and get your touchdown later. I don't know. I just feel like that was not a smart decision. But in terms of trade, because, the trade deadline's going to come up, I think there have been some talks that Tennessee's Tavondre Sweat could be available, and he's a Texas guy. Former second rounder. Klain was talking about him, and we love our Texas guys. So he's like 366 pounds, and he's a fairly good player, it looks like. If we could plug him into, the defense to get some of these run stops, I think that could improve our defense a lot. And yeah, we had rookie mistakes too, like the fumble by Savion Williams. That, he could have gotten out of bounds. He could have went down. Instead, he fights where there was no way he was going to get anything, or like 4 Panthers, and he took a big hit and fumbled. So, anyways, I'm out of time. Have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, that's that. Like I've said already, my biggest takeaway from the whole thing was the inopportune mistakes at inopportune times. Again, that's not to completely dismiss anything, but I think it's. I'm still trying to find some of those luck metrics, and if I can't find them, I'll just have to create them. But I just, it's just one of those things, man. It just, everything kind of went, and it's not even, like I said, it's not even that everything went wrong, because I don't know that there were necessarily more mistakes than we've seen in some of these other games that we ended up winning. We've seen a lot of like 13, 14, 15 penalty games or whatever, just terribly dysfunctional games. This wasn't like that. I felt like most of the time, like with Jordan, I thought Jordan was good almost the entire game, but there were 2, 3, 4 times that were like, oh, dang it, dude, what are you doing? Obviously there was the pick, the one that was bad, and then a couple other decisions that, had he done something else, probably would have benefited us a little bit more, or at all. But again, I wouldn't say he had a bad day, and I feel like that way about the Packers. I wouldn't say the Packers had a bad day. They just kept messing up at exactly the wrong times. And again, I think those things tend to be fluky, meaning I don't know that there's any reason to believe that something that unlucky will happen again. Hasn't really happened all year. I know everybody seems to think that it has, but it really hasn't. It's kind of like with turnovers. They're fluky. I saw somebody that was today, and I know the turnovers have been very low for the Packers, but the point was like, why isn't it like last year? It was never going to be like last year. Turnovers are fluky stats. And when you're super high in turnovers, you're almost never going to repeat that the next year. Same where if you're super low. They're very much luck-based. So, doesn't mean we're going to beat the Eagles. I'm just pointing out, like I said, I think, 8 or 9 times out of 10, the Packers probably win that game in Lambeau.
Hey, Ryan, Beartooth Benny here. It's Monday after the loss. I'm just kind of over it now because it's whatever, dude. And, the Lions lost to the Vikings. That's probably feels pretty bad for them. So, yeah, you can get beat by anybody in the NFL any week. You have to be prepared. And look ahead, LaFleur. Was just looking ahead, man. He's not giving a damn. Playing like it's actually 1923 when we're in the 1923 jerseys. Just freaking vanilla offense, and then we're freaking.
It's another example, by the way, whether we can't seem to agree, or the people that are upset can't seem to agree whether it was vanilla or too creative. I don't know. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Constantly behind the chains. Man. You never throw downfield unless, it's a couple times and then it's in triple coverage. Love plays like an idiot. Literally last week he looked amazing, and this week he looks like one of the worst quarterbacks, dude. He looks just so moronic. I don't get it, man. What do we need to do to stop doing this crap, man? Why? Just why? And McManus, dude, I get that it was windy, dude, and that's what people are going to say, but that's bull crap, dude. That is inexcusable, dude. I'm sorry. Because the other kicker made him. So what's his excuse? Dude, I'm seriously ready for Haversick, dude. I'm not dealing with this crap where we lose by 3 because our kicker missed 2 field goals. We should have won by 6 or whatever. Or won by 3, I guess. That's bullcrap, man. But, back to being like a kid, I'm trying to watch these games. I just felt my kid where I watched the game, and no matter how they win, I was happy. I remember that in middle school and elementary, I was just I just happy that they won, and I didn't think about who the other team was. And if they lost, I would cry. And this loss made me want to cry, but yeah, I just want to go back to being a Packer fan, where it's just dude, I just want my team to win, man. And it's just going to be awesome if they win. So it wasn't awesome today, and we've got to fix the run D, because I guarantee you Saquon Barkley's going to run for about 250 yards on Monday night. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, he might, I suppose. I don't think Saquon's doing as good this year, is he? I don't know. Not really sure. Beer Cheese Part 2 when we get back from the break.
Brian Beer Cheese Ben again. I really don't want to scream and yell and be super negative, because, to be honest with you, man, I'm kind of tired of living that way and watching games that way. The game pissed me off, and as it was going, I was like, come on. But, I feel like it didn't raise my blood pressure as much. But what really nearly made me cry was Tucker Kraft going down with the knee injury, and I'm pretty sure it's torn. I haven't heard anything yet. I'm pretty sure it's over. I could have cried. I damn near fell to my knees. Who's going to step up now? And you know what? I bet you Golden will still not be involved. LaFleur will still find a way to avoid it. Or Love, I don't know. But it's ridiculous. And I don't want to hear this crap about, because the play call was horrible, and I don't want to hear this crap about how, we don't know the play call, so how do you know? It doesn't matter if you don't know. It was stupid. They have built-in can plays for everything, and Jordan Love is stupid. He canned into the wrong crap. I mean, screen, run. We played 1923 football in the 1923 jerseys. Just vanilla offense. It was stupid. Just absolutely stupid. And I know a lot of us always say, let's be aggressive. Come on, let's be aggressive. But, bro, 4th and 8. Dude, take the points, man. Like, not that, maybe because he didn't trust McManus. Maybe that's what it was. So I understand that. But, anyways, I'm going to stop yelling. It was a bad loss. And now we have to move on. Okay? Now we have to move on. And pretend it never happened. Because we have an opponent that could very well kick our ass. Next week. And I don't know. We need it. We just need it. We need a dub. Find a way. That's all it is. Just gotta find a way. We're gonna have to adjust some things with Kraft, and we're just gonna have to change some things around. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Go back, go.
Well, all right. I don't know either. Daniel from California, what's up?
Hey, Ryan, Daniel from California. Just kind of sitting in the loss and just really trying to figure out where I stand on everything, because everybody's going to be freaking out left to right and blah, blah, blah. Who the heck knows? But really, because just to make an overall point, we have a good team. And there are two things on the offensive side that we have to figure out, and I don't know how to balance the two, because we have to build more of an identity of our run game. But I also want Jordan Love to get more reps in the quick passing, because it just seems like the offense flows better when we're not doing the deep shots and not doing all the screen stuff. That's what hits me in the core. It's like I want Jordan to get those reps so he can actually work through all the kinks, and when we do need to have a shootout, when we do need to drive down and just dink and dunk down the field, he's got all the reps in the world to do it. But I understand it's going to be December, and we're going to need to have a run game, especially at home, in order to be competitive. But I want Jordan to so it's like I understand the balancing act, and it's just like, to me, we're not going to win. We're not going to make these huge jumps without Jordan being at the top of his game. So to me, that's the priority above everything. And I really just don't like being derailed by this offensive line getting all these penalties in the run game where they just, I don't know if it's just because it's a different position and that Elton has that extra step of the snap. He's got, I don't know if he got 2 or 1, whatever. Sean Ryan had 1, but I just can't, the whole run stuff, it's like if we just tamped it down 10% and just mix it up to where it's more second down running instead of the first down stuff, but it all has to happen. It's just, it's a complex problem, and I just hate it all because I want an easy solution. I want Jordan to get the reps that he needs, and I just want the run game to be good, and it's just not. Like, yeah, we have some explosive runs from here and there, but the offensive line needs to do better, and I don't know how they do better without reps. So that's the dilemma. Everybody wants to blame a bunch of other stuff, and it's just like you have to maintain balance, and everybody wants all the stuff, and they can't have it all. So figure it out. Go back, go.
Well, that's one of the points that I make tomorrow, I think, is that, maybe we do need to run less and pass more. That's possible. It's hard to know because situationally it's hard to know, but you can't do it but it's not going to make as big of a difference as you think. We're talking a handful of different decisions in a game because you cannot abandon the run. You can't just say, well, that doesn't seem like working. It's working, so let's just never do it. I'm very sorry. That is not an option. And so the only thing is you either get better at it or we just lose. That's it. Either you get better at it or we're just not going to win a ton of games. There is no solution that is, let's just never run it and pass it all the time. Like maybe once or twice on like a 4th and 1 or on like right on the goal line. Josh Jacobs seems pretty good at that. Let's only do it when it seems to work and then never do it when it doesn't seem. No, you cannot. And the other thing that nobody seems to want to acknowledge is that some of the success in the pass game is based on some of the stuff that we do that is less successful. It's because we do it. You abandon that stuff, and suddenly the stuff that's working stops working. That's just the way it is. And you said it exactly right. Everybody just wants this. That's why people say so many ridiculous things, because it's like, we crave an easy solution. That's why everybody's solution is so easy. That's also why Matt LaFleur is such an idiot, because we all see these really easy solutions that he's just not doing, so he must be an idiot. And if we think about it, that's kind of stupid. Just all the way around, it's kind of stupid. But that's just the way we view things. It's just, it has to be this easy solution, and I figured it out in about 2 seconds, and you're not doing it, so you're an idiot. All right, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Hey Ryan, Beer Cheese Benny, happy Misery Monday. We're all miserable, but whatever. Listening to your podcast, and you know, you're saying, with what you are saying, is that we really don't know what a Super Bowl team looks like, right? The 2010 Packers you mentioned. I mean, who really, honestly, ever thought that was a Super Bowl team? Seriously, who thought that was a Super Bowl winning team? I'm pretty sure the Eagles, that first Super Bowl they won, they started off pretty bad. And we've had multiple Super Bowl winning teams who, let's be honest, man, we wouldn't have known. I mean, we wouldn't have guessed that they would be a Super Bowl team. And so, with all that, I think you're making me feel better here.
My goodness.
And it's that, like, if the playoffs started today, we'd still be the 1 seed, I'm pretty sure. And so just because we lose to a bad team, that means we're not the 1 seed anymore? I mean, anything can happen between now and then. And you know, who knows with Tucker Kraft? And that's what makes everything bad about this. Like, it's bad enough to lose, but then you lose tight end, a guy who is the star part of your offense and major part of your offense. But, you know, who knows? Maybe it's just an MCL sprain, you know? I'm trying to be positive. It's probably not good. It's probably not good. He's probably out for the season. But you mentioned Jermichael Finley that year. You know, teams can find, the Packers are going to have to dig deep. They're going to have to find a way. But I think we're going to be okay, man. I think, you know, it just goes to show you that, you know, a stretch or a 1 or 2 games doesn't mean anything. You know, we can still be a Super Bowl winning team. And let's be honest, man. Nobody's a Super Bowl winning team. We don't know until they win the Super Bowl. So, let's just freaking beat the Eagles. Die, Eagles, die. Hope we're saying that after Monday. And, you know, let's just eat some cheese and have some brats and go Pack Go, you know. It is what it is, my guy. Like, I'm going to be done with the whole negative thing, and it is what it is, man. Also a suggestion, maybe let's not have halftime calls, because we have so many calls. Let's just, everybody save your calls for the end of the game, or maybe only do halftime and end of game and, you know, Mondays. Maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, dude. It's just a bad game, and we have to move on. And it's going to get better.
I will say, I think if anything, there's way too many Monday calls. The majority of the calls seems like, I mean, we spend all week doing nothing but Monday calls. And, I mean, we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 more Monday calls. We've already done probably 15 Monday calls or post-game calls. And the other reason I say that is we spend all week listening to people talk as though the game just ended because it just ended. And so there's so much misery when most people have already moved past it. But it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, it's not like we know nothing about what Super Bowl teams look like, but we don't have 100% of the picture. That's why I've said before, like, if you know who's going to win the Super Bowl, tell me who's going to win the Super Bowl. Of course, nobody knows who's going to win the Super Bowl. Now, as you get closer and more games happen, we have more information, things become more and less likely, but if you want to know where we're at, just go look at the Super Bowl odds. And the fact of the matter is, again, nobody's going to be above 50%. Even at the start of the playoffs, nobody will be above 50%. So nobody has a good chance to win the Super Bowl. Until you get to the Super Bowl, really nobody has a good chance. Maybe the championship game, the NFC and AFC championships when you have 4 teams. But even then, even if you are by far the most dominant, you're still not going to be at 50%. So yes, it feels unlikely because it is unlikely. And, things are not going much different than we said they would go. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, and we get way too up when things are up, we get way too down when things are down. At the end of the day, we just got to find ways to win, and we didn't win this game, which sucks, but we don't have a lot of losses, and we've demonstrated the ability to beat good teams. So whatever the problem is, they just got to iron their crap out and hope that they can do better. That's true of all teams. Anybody can start playing like crap out of nowhere, and anybody can start being good out of nowhere. The Bears looked bad, and now they look good, and the Vikings looked good, and then they look bad, and now they kind of look good again, and the Lions look bad, but then they look good, and now they look bad again. The Colts surprisingly look really good, but a lot of people were skeptical that maybe it was fake, and then they played their first good team, and then they ended up losing the game, and then they start to panic, and now they go out and get a corner, so maybe now they're going to be really good, or maybe they were always good, but it was just kind of any given Sunday, or maybe it was just always a fluke, and they were stupid to go out and get that guy. Daniel Jones is their quarterback. What do they think that they're doing? Are the Bills good? I don't know. They were supposed to get frickin' clobbered by the Chiefs because the Chiefs are getting better and better and better. Despite their really slow, ugly start, they look like they're getting better and better, and the Bills are just way too inconsistent, and then look what happened. Are the Bills good? Are the Chiefs good? Are the Lions good? Are the Packers good? I don't know. I don't know. A week ago, it was impossible the Lions lost that game and then they lost that game. Are they going to be playoff contenders, or are they garbage? Are they a joke? Are they going to get better? Are they going to get worse? Don't know. I think they're probably going to get better. I think they're probably going to win enough games to go to the playoffs, and they're probably going to get hot in the playoffs and make a bit of a push for it. I tend to think that that's the case with the Packers too, but I don't know. The Packers might just spiral out and be dog crap, and we got to fire our coach and our GM. I don't know. But I can tell you that this Panthers loss doesn't move the needle a ton. It moves it, but not nearly as much as the fan base or the media would have you believe. Again, go look at Vegas. It moved a little. Just a very, very little. And if you think Vegas is just wrong and stupid, then you should place large bets. See how that pans out.
Yo, Ryan, it's your uncle.
Yo.
No, Pack, no. That's all I got to say about that.
I'm all right.
Dang, Packers. Anyway, I can deal with the loss. Things didn't go well. That was a group effort, I think, pretty much across the board. I don't know. Maybe the punter didn't goof up. I'm not sure. But I can deal with the loss. But it's the funeral that follows. The 7-day funeral or 6-day funeral, however many days this funeral is going to be. Ay. That's gonna be the drainer. Anyways, they'll turn it around. They have to. They have no choice. All right then, y'all Packer fans, have a good week, and let's get back to Go Pack Go.
Hey Ryan, Kyle from Madison. Well, yep, it's really one of those painful Mondays, and. I respect your getting on here, doing your podcast despite the pain. I don't want to say this. Look, my call got dumped, and I totally understand you had a lot going into this, but I had a call midweek, and I was saying, look, what I really want to see from this team is just the ability to be mature enough to handle success, really, for the first time this season. In the last big game they came off, they laid an egg against the Browns. No doubt the Pittsburgh game was the biggest game after that, where you got all the media talking about them and crowning them. I wanted to see that they could handle that, and they couldn't. Okay? And does that, certainly like LaFleur, I flamed him for that call, that field goal non-attempt to go for it on 4th and 8. But I do think what happens is just if the team's not focused, the coaches have to spend more time working on things and less, it takes away, I think. So I don't know that it's necessarily that the coaching staff doesn't get up, but I do think like there is something internally where if the team isn't there and they got to re-explain stuff and they're just not grasping what we're doing, I do think there's a trickle up effect too. Either way, man, I wanted to kind of try to make sense of this because it makes no sense. And the number one thing to me is how bad our offensive line has been thus far this year. I don't know if it's the coaching change on the line. I mean, essentially we just have one new player? I mean, was Josh Myers, he was the linchpin, man. Like, we just can't survive without Josh Myers. Like, no. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but protection, to me, and Love had a couple of horrific throws yesterday, but, like, dude did not have time. And to me, it all starts there. Because this defense, when you get a lead, this defense is going to cook. Just like any other defense, they're not as good when you don't have a lead, right? So I'm going to call you back here because I think that I have kind of figured out some statistics here that are both bad and good. So, and I want to get your opinion on these stats. So let me just call you right back.
I hate to say it, but Josh Myers might be a little more serious than we're letting on because at least for a couple of those plays, the issue didn't come down to blocking as much as it came down to protections and communication. And I think that's a big part of the reason why, and this goes back to, again, us only seeing a small percentage of the situation and pretending we're seeing 100% of it and saying, well, Josh Myers is no good, get rid of him. Okay, well, we got rid of him, and we forgot about the fact that Josh Myers actually does a large portion of that job very, very well. And now that he's not there, I'm not saying that it would be the best thing in the world to have him there, and obviously I'm hoping Elton can kind of grow a little bit into that and maybe get out of these growing pain type situations, but I do think that's hurting us a little bit, the fact that this is new to him, and I think that there are some mistakes being made.
Okay, Ryan. So I know you don't like to hear about the youngest team thing, but I wanted to know, is there correlation statistically between being one of the youngest teams and letdown games? Games that you're favored by 7 or more following big wins. And I quantified those as like wins of 10 or more points. And it's kind of tough. I use some robots here. I ain't digging this up myself, but kind of tough with what stats are there. But if you look at like the last 15 to 20 years, yes, there is. If you're in the youngest quarter of the NFL, it's between 18% and 34% higher trap game potential for you, which I thought, well, that makes sense, right? So there is something to it. And I think, especially in this like modern social media era, it's pretty, I think it's even more exaggerated because of all the press clippings and whatnot. Now here's the good news and the bad news. I don't have DVOA volatility numbers. I'm not behind the paywall, but I believe if you look at week by week, I've been trying to look at previous years where I can still get some data that's available. And you look at the youngest team. So if you're in the youngest quarter of the NFL throughout the season, weeks 1 through 6, your EPA variance is 1.45 times higher variance than league average. But then, so 23% above. Weeks 7 through 12, you're 12% above average, or 1.2 times higher. And then weeks 13 to 18, 6% above average, or 1.05% higher, and that's in the last 15 seasons. So, I mean, that's good news. Historically, teams in the youngest quarter of the league do tend to get better. Now, I've been hearing a lot of talk about the 2010 Packers today. And yeah, there are definitely comparisons. But let's keep in mind, the Packers, that year during the season, I believe they had like a 1.6 like EPA variance. They were extremely volatile. And the line of demarcation in the last 20 years is about 1.4 variance, EPA variance. The Packers did in 2010 and the 2012 Ravens did it. Otherwise, if you're not below basically 1.4, you ain't winning a Super Bowl. And most teams are more like closer to 1. So there is numbers to back up the youth thing, man. I know you don't want to hear about it, but I'd be interested in what you find because it's interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'd want to check that out myself. I know sometimes, especially with detailed stats like that, the robot likes to hallucinate a little bit. So it'd be interesting to look into. There might be something there. I don't know. I mean, again, it's like your initial premise of can they handle the success or whatever the case may be, and the answer being no. Well, that might be the conclusion, or maybe that's not what the issue was. Maybe that it was something else. You know, maybe it's the particular players that has nothing to do with the age. Maybe it is the coach. You know, I don't know. I really don't. And those are things too where I don't know how, and I think you did a good job of trying to parse it out a little bit. But for some of that, I don't really know how to even go about figuring some of that stuff out. But you know, it kind of comes back to, because I know some people do this, and I'm not saying you're doing it, but people want to identify an issue and then blame that issue and then say we should do the opposite of that thing. And suddenly we have people advocating for being an older team, which is, I don't know, man. I don't love that plan. Is there something to be said about veteran leadership? And that's the other thing too, where it comes down to, you know, there's a difference between just age and youth and being a veteran. Like, is Micah Parsons a veteran? I would say he is. A lot of these guys have played some decent football. You know, Keyshawn Nixon's been around the block. Is he 35 years old? No. But he's been a part of a couple teams and several years and several coaches and lots of players. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know. It's also one of those things there's not really anything we can do about unless we're advocating for going out in free agency and just getting old guys, which I think the Vikings do a lot of that, and I don't see a lot of success over there with it. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'll try to dig around and see what kind of stuff, if there's anything readily available in terms of team ages. I'm guessing there has to be somewhere. It shouldn't be that hard to find these things out. Now I'm actually kind of curious. Let me just try to make a note somewhere, because otherwise I'm going to run off and start working on this. It's also one of those things too, just as I start looking at this, I didn't find what I was looking for, but it has like the youngest teams, Packers being the youngest. The Colts are the third youngest. The Chiefs are the fifth youngest. So right away, you look at some of that stuff and just go, yeah, I don't know. You got young teams that are successful and not super volatile. You got old teams that are garbage and volatile. You know, Minnesota, bad but good, and then bad and good. And Steelers are good, but they're bad. And Dallas is bad, but they're good. And Saints and Washington are old. But I'll do some digging on that.
Hey, real quick follow-up also. Because that 2010 Packers team was the second youngest in the league that year. But importantly, they had, I believe, 4 players that were at least 7 or more years tenured. Woodson, Driver, I can't remember exactly who. And I'm trying to find these statistics, and I'm just not able to find them right now. But I had read them earlier, where it seems like the magic formula is to have like 2 to 4 of these guys with 7 to 10 years on your team and still be, you know, in that youngest quarter and then be able to hit, you know, set fire later in the season. And I don't know, like it looks like 7 years is kind of the point. And it's like, well, even Love isn't, you know, he's been on the team a long time, but I mean, this is his 6th year, right? Like the Packers really don't have a lot of guys that have 7 or more seasons, which may they might be statistically kind of walking into what I've been reading, you know, like when you have less of those guys, you have less stabilizing elements in the locker room. And what is this? Is this LaFleur's 8th year, 7th year? So it goes for coaches too. So yeah, I just thought that was pretty interesting. Like maybe we're missing just a couple stabilizing people, but it's going to be really interesting, man, if they can get this thing turned around. And I think a lot of people romanticize that 2010 team. First of all, bro, statistically what that 2010 team did is nearly impossible. Like, if the fantasy for Packer fans is that we are going to recreate that, just erase it from your head. Yes, you get hot and try to go through the playoffs, but remember, we lost, like 3 out of 5 to end that season. It was just the Giants game. We blew them out, and then we hung on to beat the Bears. So it was basically a 6-0 run at the end. But do you remember how just maddeningly inconsistent that team was? It was crazy. And then you remember Rodgers gets knocked out of I remember we took a bad beat. And Rodgers gets knocked out with a concussion. He can't play against Belichick's Patriots. And I believe it was Matt Flynn goes in there and damn near wins the thing. And that seemed like that was like the emotional thing, like, hey, we could do this even without Aaron. Like, look how good we did without Aaron against these guys. So my takeaway of all this, how does this team believe in itself like a manifest destiny kind of thing without being overconfident? Because right now they're not able to do both. They got to believe that there's an inevitability to their win, that they're going to win, without it taking away from their preparation. That is going to be the key for this team. If they can do it, they've got a chance. All right, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, as far as 2010, I can't speak for anybody else, but my intention is never to act like that's the standard or anything. It's really just to demonstrate that, you know, there's ups and downs in a season, and I think the romanticizing sometimes can go too far in the other direction, where Super Bowl teams are just this unstoppable force that nobody ever beats and nobody ever, you know, they just don't really struggle. And 2010 Packers might have been a little bit of an outlier, but I don't know that they're that massive of an outlier compared to some other teams that win Super Bowls. Even if it's a little bit more exaggerated than other teams, it's still a very it's a very common thing to have to overcome adversity. That's just part of the situation. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not worried about the Packers being overconfident at this point. Now, I guess if there's an immaturity issue, it would be that they get too pouty or whatever might end up happening. But I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, the biggest issue is I don't know what the problem is, so I couldn't even begin to tell you how to fix it. And I've been saying that since we had Rodgers here. You know, I mean, when we didn't have the youngest team in football and things would get shaky and then we'd look real hot and then we get to the playoffs and it just like nobody showed up. And it's like, what the hell just happened? I don't understand what happened. I never figured it out. I never was able to get to the bottom of what the heck was going on. And it's just one of those things that continues to this day. And I don't believe it's a uniquely Packers thing. Maybe it is a little bit more so than, but again, I don't have any kind of answer as to what you do to fix that. Getting older, getting younger, different coaches. Again, this was a McCarthy thing as much as it was a LaFleur thing. I just don't know. I don't know what you do about it other than just wake up, you know, do your frickin' job. Don't worry about the Panthers game. Don't worry about the Cleveland game. Don't worry about the Steelers game. Just go beat the Eagles. That's it. I don't know what else to tell you. And go beat teams until you get in the playoffs. And then when you get there, just try to beat that team. I don't know what else to do other than that. But I do know that it's not out of reach. And I don't want to go down these nihilistic paths of here's the reason we can't. And it just seems like fans are always digging for that thing. We can't because of our coach. We can't because we lost Tucker. We can't. I mean, that was the first take by about 100 different people. I don't know if they can do it anymore now that Tucker's gone. That guy became a superstar like 2 weeks ago. Suddenly he's our entire offense? What are you talking about? I don't know if they can do it because of this offensive line. I don't know if they can do it with this coach. I don't know, maybe they're too young, they can't do it. Maybe maybe their quarterback isn't reliable enough. Yeah, I don't know. If the season's over for you, again, I'm not talking to you, Kyle, but if the season's over for you, just stop watching. If we can't do it because of the coach, if we can't do it because of this, then you should probably find a new hobby. I don't know what else to say. They're a talented team with a lot of talented people on it, and they got to figure out how to put that talent on a football field consistently enough to win football games. Nothing changes really from what I said a week ago or 2 weeks ago. It's not the playoffs today. You can lose games, but not too many because you need to get into the playoffs. And at that point, you can't lose games anymore. At that point, you got to be your best version of yourself. At that point, you have to be your most consistent. Today, it's just about beat the team in front of you until you either get to the playoffs or are eliminated from the playoffs. And we are so far neither. So just keep on going, please. Thank you very much.
Howdy, this is Jared, the Uber guy from Texas. And so I don't know if you can go over to Granny's house anymore for games.
Yep, I know.
Just putting that out.
Well, I've already decided my son's not allowed to leave the house for Packer games because you might remember that Steelers game, he was not home. And then he came home and the Packers dominated the living crap out of the Steelers. And then we go to Grandma's house. My son obviously is not here. He's at Grandma's house, and we're bad. So I already had the talk with him. Like, look, if there's any events or anything, we got to cancel it. You have to be here in this house for Packer games, and that's the end of it. So just so we're clear, that conversation has been. I had the talk with my son.
There, maybe your grandma needs to, or your mom needs to fix the feng shui or something in the house or something. It's Packer games or something. I don't know. But also, we went to B-Dubs for the game because Texas didn't air here because there was a Texans game at the same time. And also the Texans lost the Broncos at the end. That was wild. So yeah, next time that I go to B-Dubs for a game and we're losing and my daughter starts crying and our son starts crying, I think I'm just gonna leave and hope that with that the football gods are like, okay, this dad is doing what's right for his kids. Let's do what's right for the game.
Yep.
Packers win, maybe. I don't know.
Gotta do something.
But also, the Eagles are heating up in the trade market. Are they worried about us or something? I mean, I know it's probably for the long haul of the season, but they got Jair and they got Jalen Phillips from Dolphins. What is going on there? I don't remember them making this many mid-season trades. Now, maybe they have, and I just didn't pay attention. But, yeah, that's crazy. Next thing you know, they'll trade for Romeo Dobbs or something. Who knows? But, anyways, go Pack go. We got a week and a day to take in this loss, process everything. Hopefully they're in the workshop again, and maybe hopefully they'll rise to that occasion. It's Monday night, right? That's Monday Night Football. All right, go Pack go.
Well, I definitely don't want to pretend that trading for Jair is doing anything because the last we saw, Jair was a healthy scratch from a football game. I don't know that that's a big. That's a big nothing, honestly, as sad as it is to say, because I like Jair. He was a massive liability for the Ravens to the point that they didn't want him on the football field, and then later decided they didn't want him on the team. How they got some trade compensation for him, I have no idea, but they did, and as best as I can tell, they pretty much got the compensation back, I think, something like that. As far as Jalen, I haven't really looked into him. I don't really know that much about him. I remember his name vaguely, but I don't know. I mean, they're trying to ramp up. They're trying to repeat, and they see some issues they're trying to address. But outside of depth and intel, I don't know what Jair brings to the Eagles. Watch I say that, and he's going to come back and play and dominate. But we'll get into the personnel stuff tomorrow. It'll give me a little better idea or not tomorrow for you. I'm going to record it tomorrow. 2 days we'll be doing that. But that'll give me a chance to look at Jair and Jalen Phillips a little bit. Anywho, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all have a good rest of your day. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.